How's it going, everyone? Today we are going to cover the top 5 books that I would recommend for left-hand path practitioners. What do I mean by left-hand path practitioners? People that are essentially looking for chaos or underworld or death current. The unconscious aspects, unbecoming aspects, or the undesirable aspects that we're seeking to integrate. Now, an important point, or a pertinent point, I suppose, is I try not to identify myself too much. There are people who identify me as left-hand. There are some instances where I will identify more as left-hand than others, but I'm a practitioner. If it works for me, I use it. And you're going to see that with my honorable mentions too. So, first of all, we're going to start with the 2 that everybody already knows, but they're crucial. If you're just getting started, you might not know these 2 books. So I'm going to go ahead and cover them. The first one is called Kabbalah, Qliphoth, and Goetic Magic by Thomas Carlson. Now, I printed off the PDF because all the copies that I could find were $300 or $400. Did I have the money to spend on that? Yes. Did I want to spend $300 or $400 on something that could get dropped in a puddle of water and be destroyed? No. So I printed off the PDF and I gave it a nice little design that is slowly fading away over time. I even wrote letters on the sides, and this seems to be some sort of self-healing leather because everything has all but disappeared on this. Moving on. One of the major reasons that I like this as an intro is because, first of all, the preface talks about something that not a lot of people even think about or know about, which is the tree before the fall, which places Malkuth at the residence of Da'at. So that's an interesting introduction there. Now, let's move into the actual table of contents, and let's get a crack at what's in this book. The first part is called the Kabbalah and the Left Side. This covers the origin of the Kabbalah, definitions of Kabbalah, the Sephirot and the Tree of Life, Ein Sof and the Tree of Life, Ein Sof and the Sephirot, the 22 paths, the Tree of Life before the fall, Lucifer Da'at, the fall of Lucifer, the opening of the abyss, and Lilith Da'at and the fallen Sophia. That is the first section. The next section is the nature of evil, and this is the Sephirah Geburah and the origin of evil. And then it goes into Geburah and Satan, Geburah and creation, or Geburah, the destroyed worlds, the kings of Edom, Geburah and the Zimzum, or Zimzum, the breaking of the vessels. The next section is the 10 Qliphoth, or Qliphoth, which covers demonology, the Qliphotic demonology of Eliphaz Levi, or Eliphas Levi, Kelipath Nogah, and then the Qliphoth and the Shekinah. There's some interesting stuff in here. The next part is called the Sitra Ara, or the Sitra Achra. This covers the primordiality of evil, the Sitra Ara as hell, sparks in the Sitra Ara, Adam Belial, the black light, and the outer tree. The next is the Tree of Knowledge, as opposed to the Tree of Life, the Tree of Knowledge. This covers 2 trees and 2 versions of the Torah. Then we have the serpent and the Garden of Eden, the infringement of evil. That's one section. The next is evil comes from the north. Now, look out, Canada. Just kidding. So, the next part is the view on evil and the Kabbalah, the root of evil and what is evil. Then we cover the Qliphothic initiation, The next part is the 10 Qliphoth. Drop the thing here. Sorry about the noise. The 10 Qliphoth. These are thusly named in this work: Lilith, Gamaliel, Samael, Arab Zorak, Thagirion, Golakab, Ga'ag Shabla, the Abyss, Satariel, Gogiel, and Thalmael. The next is Qliphothic initiations: the opening of the 7 gates, the Nama invocation, the Lilith invocation, the Adramelech invocation, and the Baal or Baal invocation. Next are the Qliphothic tunnels, pathworking through the Thantifaxith tunnel, or Thantifaxith. Thantifaxith visualization is the next part. So, a lot of people were upset. There's only the Thantifaxith visualization. Why is there no pathworking for anything but Thantifaxith? Well, it should be enough. If it's not, maybe hang out in the tunnel for a while. Moving on. Goetic magic. This covers Solomonian magic, often known as Solomonic magic. Shimham Farash, the demonology of the Goetia or Goetia, evocations and invocations, the ritual magic of the Goetia, the ritual tools, a demonic incantation according to the Grimoire Verum, which is honestly one of my favorite old grimoires, the demons of the Grimoire Verum, the 72 demons of the Goetia, occult correspondences, practical Goetic magic, and Goetic experiences. Then we have the epilogue, bibliography, appendix, which has Qliphothic and mythological correspondences. So, as you can see, this covers a lot. You can find the PDF. You can print it off. Just don't sell it. The next work is The Night Side of Eden by Kenneth Grant. I do recommend reading Kabbalah, Qliphoth, and Goetic magic before The Night Side of Eden. The Night Side of Eden it's dense. Especially if you don't know Gematria, if you don't know any Hebrew, you're going to be like, why is he saying this person's name is SHVQT? And you're going to be like, this is nonsense. But really, the way that we think about normal life is nonsense. So, I do recommend reading Kabbalah, Qliphoth, and Goetic magic before The Night Side of Eden. And you might also read the third recommendation, which is The Shadow Terror by Linda Florio, before The Night Side of Eden. Anyway, we are going to get into it. We are going to cover the table of contents so that you have an idea of what is in here. The author's foreword begins. Then we have Part 1, Trees of Eternity. Introduction. The Place of the Cross. Kabbalah of the Primal Gnosis. The Light that is not. The Door of Death. Beyond the Pylon of the Pit. Typhonian Teratomas. Idols of Merodach. The Divine Ape. The Negative Way. Adumbrations of Ma'at, or Mat. The Vulture's Mouth. Typhonian Totems of the Tantras. I love the alliteration there. Then we have Part 2, The Tunnels of Set. And then it lists here the names of all of the tunnels. If you don't want to hear the names of the tunnels, fast forward to like 9 minutes and 30 seconds. We have Proteus, Barachiel, Gargophius, Dagdagiel, Hemethterith, Urians, the Zamradiel, Karasith, Timphioth, Yamatu, Kergasiax, Lefkursiax, Malkunafat, Nyantiel, Saksaksalim, Awanonin, Parfaxitas, Zufliflu, Kulielfi, Raflifu, Shaliku, and Thantifaxith. Yes, I could have sat there and entertained you all by naming them, but all it would have taken is for me to get sidetracked or to miss one, and then I would have been off on a 3-minute tangent trying to grasp at things in the air. Welcome back. I ranted a little bit even. So, we have illustrations now and the different plates. So, this book is much more dense than it seems, but the plates are pretty interesting to look at. I don't think we're going to go through those, but I will potentially show one if I can find one. Everybody's seen the tree. Let's see if I can. Okay, so here's one plate here. This is The Fall by Austin Osman Spar. And this is what it means by plates. There are several illustrations that have symbolic meaning. Okay, that is the night side of Eden. And that doesn't seem like much, but the information that is covered about each path, it gives you so much. I've covered it on the channel. If you wanna go look at my read through of the night side of Eden, there's plenty in there. Certainly to meditate on. The next work is The Shadow Tarot by Linda Filorio. And what this does is it not only gives spit that word out, whatever it is. It not only gives a demonstration of what the energies of the paths might seem and feel like, it's also got some beautiful illustrations of tarot cards. So, and as well as other things. So, lots of other things. This is useful at least for visualization and scrying, pathworking, astral projection, lucid dreaming, to experience these energies in a more subtle manner. It also explores a lot of what Kenneth Grant is saying in his work. The next work that I would recommend, we've also covered on the channel, is Nightshades by Jan Fries. This is a very quick read. It can be read in a few hours. But then after that, it gives a lot of images that you can work with yourself. And there's a blank page on the other side as well every single time, so that you can draw your own thing or scry, or perhaps for if you color them with watercolor that doesn't bleed through, or marker. But there are several images with which to scry, project, invoke, use as a spell focus, etc., etc., etc. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but again, there's some potency in these first 60 pages. It will completely, if you're in a box and you're plateaued and I've already learned everything. This will break you out of that box if you let it, by showing you how the Qliphoth is not just a Jewish tradition, how the Hebrew tradition just named it that. Okay, moving on. The last one that I would recommend is Lords of the Left-Hand Path. This will show you your left hand until it comes back around to the right hand again, which is what a lot of people seem to need. Nobody wants to get into heaven anymore. Everybody wants to go to hell. So we're going to get you there. We're going to get you to hell so that you can realize that it's all around. And it always was. So this walks through Zoroastrianism, Buddhism, Hinduism. It walks through all of the lords of the left-hand path. I mean, it is fucking self-explanatory. This is a really good one. I've got several markers in several places in this book just to re-reference it from time to time. I will run through the table of contents very quickly. First are acknowledgments, and then a preface under the Lunes of Reason, and then an introduction, an untimely meditation. 1 second. That one's empty. Reload. Switch to your second. Okay. Part 1, or Chapter 1 rather, is the left-hand path. Chapter 2 is the Eastern traditions. 3, the roots of the Western tradition. 4, the first millennium, which covers ancestry, essentially, and mythology. 5, the path of Satan. 6, Lucifer unbound. 7, an interlude and the absolute elsewhere. Adolf Hitler and the modern mythologizing of evil. 8. The occult revival. 9. Anton Sandor LaVey and the Church of Satan. And 10. Michael A. Aquino, the Temple of Set. Now, there are some, to many people, some unsavory names in here, but history is doomed to repeat itself if we don't learn it. So, top 5, right there. People have asked me over and over and over. I tailor it differently depending on who's asking. For some people, I might recommend more like books about Agora. For others, I might recommend more books like Seedways or Seedways. For others, I might recommend maybe something more like the Red Book. There are many ways to go about this work. There was one that I was going to mention that escapes me. Books like the Dark Red Amulet or The Glorious Speech of Herika. These are more tantric Buddhist things, but if you're American or Western to any degree, and you're trying to figure out a sense of individuality, or if you're trying to break cultural conditioning, if you're trying to, submerge through the membrane of the unconscious, these 5 right here, you can read and reread and reread and reread again. Now, we'll get into honorable mentions. Some of you are going to hate these. Now, the first honorable mention is Paradise Lost by John Milton. This will teach you how to get out of the garden that you were planted in, breaking cultural conditioning, getting into the subconscious. Next, The Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri. This is a trimester of development. This is all 3 levels, okay? This is a book of initiation. This is a book of pathworking. This is a book of transformation. It also teaches you to look through multiple veils simultaneously. Time, space, all of that. It's a really good one, The Divine Comedy. It goes, I guess, okay, so I may as well do the table of contents. So there's 3 books. There's 12 books of Paradise Lost, so there's no table of contents. In The Divine Comedy, there is Inferno, there's Paradiso, and there's Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso. I'm not sure why Purgatorio is not showing up here. Oh, I skipped the page. So yes, we have Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso. Paradise is different for everyone, folks, so it's not always heaven, This is the walkthrough of Inferno. We have the Dark Forest. These are in the cantos, or they're sort of chapters. The Dark Forest, the Descent, the Gate of Hell, the First Circle, Limbo, the Second Circle, the Wanton, the Third Circle, the Gluttonous, the Fourth Circle, the Avaricious and Prodigal. Then we have we have Phlegias Philippa Argenti, the Gate of the City of Dis, or Dis. The Furies and Medusa, the Angel and the City of Dis. Then we get into Farinata and Cavalcante. We get into the Broken Rocks, the Minotaur, the Wood of Thorns, the Sand Waste, the Violent Against Nature. These are all different degrees of what would you call it? Sin. There was a better word that I had in mind. Then we get into the Cataract of the River of Blood. We get into Geryon, the Violent Against Art. We get into the 8th Circle, Malabolge. The third Bolgia, Simoniacs. These are different people. These are different regions. The 4th Bolgia, soothsayers, the fifth Bolgia, percolators. Then we get into Ciampolo, Friar Gomita, these are different people. Escape from the Malebranche, the seventh Bolgia, and then Count Ugolino and the Archbishop Ruggieri, and then the fourth division of the ninth circle. So this is very degree, this is very level, veil based, and all of the names, are relevant to the time, but you can find people like that. They're archetypes. You can find people like that in today. So in Purgatory, we have the Shores of Purgatory, the Celestial Pilot, Discourse on the Limits of Reason, Farther Ascent, Those Who Died by Violence, Dante's Inquiry on the Prayers for the Dead. So we're getting into we've gone from the infernal underworld. Now we're sort of in the between world. We're in the nowhere. We're in the sort of astral between heaven and hell, you might say, you could call it the abyss, perhaps. So the flowers, the Valley of Flowers, the guardian angels, and the serpent, Dante's dream of the eagle, the needle's eye, the humble prayer, the sculptures, I thought it said sepulchres, the sculptures on the pavement, the second circle. Then we have the third circle, Dante's dream of anger, Dante's dream of the siren. We have the poet Statius and praise of Virgil, who was Dante's guide. Then we have the sixth circle, the mystic tree. We have discourse on the seventh circle, the wall of fire, the river of Lethe or Lethe, and Matilda, the nature of the terrestrial paradise, the triumph of the church, which is to say the order or the guild of the time, turning chaos into order. We have Virgil's departure and Beatrice, Dante's shame, which was Dante's lover who died. Reproaches of Beatrice and confession, the tree of knowledge, allegory of the chariot. Some of you are falling asleep. You can skip forward. Lament over the state of the church. And then we get into paradise, the ascent to the first heaven, the moon. Then we get into questionings of the soul. We get into the second heaven, Mercury. Do you see where this is going? Justinian, the Roman eagle. The empire, Romeo. Beatrice's discourse on the crucifixion and the incarnation. We have ascent to the third heaven, Venus. We have the fourth heaven, the sun. We have the third circle, discourse on the resurrection of the flesh. If this isn't sounding necromantic and left-handed to you, unplug your ears or put your glasses on. Saint Bonaventura. We have the third circle. We have Dante's noble ancestry. Some of this is probably not as relevant as it could be if you don't know how to look at it. So the sixth heaven, Jupiter, the eagle discourses of salvation. The eagle praises the righteous kings. These are all incantations, invocations, evocations. The seventh heaven, Saturn. And then we have the triumph of Christ, which is to say the progressive spirit for resolution, perhaps. And then the radiant wheel, the laurel crown. We have God and the angelic hierarchies, which you are God in your own universe. Beatrice's discourse of the creation of the angels and the fall of Lucifer. The 10th heaven, or Empyrean. The glory of paradise. Saint Bernard points out the saints in the white rose. And prayer to the Virgin. If you stuck around for that, maybe you have an interest in all of that stuff. If not, you get the idea. The next honorable mention is H.P. Lovecraft mythos, the Cthulhu mythos. There is a lot of good stuff in here that will put you out of your sense of normalcy and will give you some crazy dreams if you are visualizing while you're reading it. That can transmogrify some parts of you. The works that are in this book, specifically this is H.P. Lovecraft, Great Tales of Horror. This is the book that I could find that had the most stories in it that I enjoyed myself personally. There's probably books that have more books of his, but this includes The Call of Cthulhu, The Color Out of Space, The Lurking Fear, The Music of Eric Zahn, Dagon, Pickman's Model, The Dunwich Horror, The Statement of Randolph Carter, In the Vault, Cool Air, The Thing on the Doorstep, The Dreams in the Witch House, The Shadow over Innsmouth, At the Mountains of Madness, Herbert West, Reanimator, The Rats in the Walls, The Case of Charles Dexter Ward, The Whisper in Darkness, The Haunter of the Dark, The Shadow Out of Time. So, those are what is in this one, but it's more his idea of a seething, sinister succubus that is situated upon the outside of our Celestia, as well as within. The other honorable mention is Thus Spake Zarathustra. This is a path working. This is an initiation. This is a reconfiguration of normalcy. I don't know if I'm going to get too into this. I'll read the table of contents. There's I forget. I always forget how long this is. So I'll read the contents, because this is how you recognize that this is something worth reading as an initiate or an aspirant. Part 1 is the 3 metamorphoses, or metamorphoses. 2 is the academic chairs of virtue. 3 is backworldsmen. 4 is the despisers of the body. 4 is joys and passions. 5, the pale criminal. 6, reading and writing. 8, the tree on the hill. 9, the preachers of death. 10, war and warriors. 11, the new idol. I'm not going to say the numbers anymore. The flies in the marketplace. Chastity. The friend. The 1,001 goals. Neighbor love. The way of the creating one. Old and young women. The bite of the adder. Child and marriage. Voluntary death. The bestowing virtue. Part 2. The child with the mirror. The happy isles, the pitiful, the priests, the virtuous, the rabble, the tarantulas, the famous wise men, the night song, the dance song, the grave song, self-overcoming, the sublime ones, the land of culture, immaculate perception, scholars, poets, great events, the soothsayer, redemption, manly prudence, the stillest hour. 2 more. Part 3 is the wanderer, the vision and the riddle, involuntary bliss, before sunrise, virtue that diminishes, the Mount of Olives, passing by, the apostates, that's passing by is one, the apostates is another, or apostates, the return home, the 3 evils, the spirit of gravity, old and new tablets, the convalescent, the great longing, the second dance song, the 7 seals. Part 4, the honey sacrifice, the cry of distress, talk with the kings, the leech, the magician, out of service, the ugliest man, the voluntary beggar, the shadow, at noontide, the greeting, the last supper, the higher man, the song of melancholy, science, among daughters of the desert, the awakening, the ass festival, the drunken song, the sign. Now, are there going to be some outdated concepts in this? Now, can we still learn from them? Moving on. Some of you are going to hate this, but I am. I'm going to make an honorable mention of the Christian Bible, because there are 5 books in specific that are, I feel, specifically for the magical practitioner. The first book in the Bible is the first book. The first book I'm going to recommend is the first book, the book of Genesis. This book is all about the formation and the creation of, you could say, your inner world. You could say your next world, There are many degrees which you can apply this information. That's one reason it's so crucial. It's so useful. It's utilitous, if that's even a word. If you're overlooking this stuff, I probably I get it. I understand why. But one thing you can do is not take it so literally. God doesn't necessarily mean what you were told it means. Grow up, define things for yourself. What the fuck does God mean? What does it mean? Figure out what the fuck God means. Maybe it's your own perfect consolidated consciousness. Figure out what it means so that you can use it. Genesis covers formulation and creation. Malachim, or Kings, presents preparation and contemplation of the temple, either outer or inner. It teaches the formulation, preparation of the temple. Psalms teaches us the art of prose, poem, incantation, song. It teaches us how to lose ourselves in an inspiration and to lose ourselves in the flow of the muse. Ezekiel covers transportation and information. Ezekiel is all about astral projection, lucid dreaming, scrying. They're different degrees of the same thing. I get it, but people call them different things. Ezekiel is all about the Merkaba. It's all about the soul chariot. Okay. Next is Revelation, of course. It's all about initiation and destruction. It can be used for baneful. It can be used for initiatory purposes and processes. It can be used to, essentially, if you apply Revelation to the other books, it can teach you how to unsolve them or dissolve them. Now, the Gospels themselves can be a bit tricky, but essentially they can at least be used for elemental formula. So there you have it. There's 5 books that I recommend to the beginning practitioner. And then there are 5 books that I have as sort of an honorable mention for those of you who might not be so left-handed. And for those of you who are tired of standing on one hand all the time. So that's it for this one. Take care. Have a good rest of the day, a good rest of the week. Thanks for stopping by. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions, please leave them below. And have a good rest of the week. Take care.